are rolling. We have on a very special guest, the dishy Asian fellow that used to be all over my Instagram when we when we were friends. Like but since coronavirus hit, we just haven't seen each other just because that's how shit works. My good friend Terence Ma, we welcome you, bro.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Be mad.
So Terence has a very unique skill set. Um, the story is Terrence started off at his father's. What were you doing originally?
It's a broker. It's still a broker dealer, and uh, working primarily in fixed income.
So he started off doing that, and then I remember he came in one day. You were like, "Dude, I'm fucking miserable. I fucking hate this, and I think that I'm just gonna fucking quit and be a music teacher." Now, Terrence's father did this, and he's a super successful guy, and you could very easily have walked in those footsteps and probably done something along those lines and made a lot of money doing that. And you just said, "Fuck this."
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a millennial moment, I guess. Right, and we were just discussing this a little bit earlier. Too many choices. I had it a little too good. Lived a little too privileged of life, and long story short, my father came from an impoverished colony of Britain, right, in Hong Kong, and right, living with crack dealers, heroin users, and the whole like in a tenement building, growing up with like six siblings in a room that's smaller than like half of your bedroom probably. And his only like I think very early on he said like the only way out of here is through education, and I think he discovered that pretty early, and worked his ass off to be the second best in his class. And at 17, after he was accepted into college in Hong Kong, he said, "I think I'm just gonna leave and flee the country and go." And so he did, and he attended NYU, got his business. Attended Pace first, got his MBA at NYU, and the rest is really history. I mean, he just stayed in finance from that point on until today, and had tried to groom me to at least think in terms of those numbers, in terms of those calculations, in terms of those, that logic, but really cultivated an interest in music as well, because I was such an asshole as a child, right? Because like I was pulling down the curtains in elementary school. I was being disruptive in class, picking my nose, running around, like talking to myself when I couldn't talk to people. I was isolated into the corner of the classroom because I would talk to everybody around me, and if they wouldn't talk back, I just talk to myself. And and so there wasn't really much that they could do to keep me in line. And granted, this is a classic immigrant story, because I was raised for most of my developmental years by my grandmother, and I barely saw my parents. And so I think we're going to go a little Freudian here, right? That every time I misbehaved and got sent to the principal's office, which was almost every day up to a certain point, I would get to see my parents because of the parent-teacher conferences, and because the principal had to talk to my parents. And I think that was my very first initiation into performing, was essentially being a class clown, right? Because the only way that I really could garner attention was by being funny, by being weird. And granted, I was also made fun of a lot for being Asian, because I was like one of maybe two until maybe middle school. Like that just kind of fell into place. So I embraced that, and I really ran with it. And once my parents were able to introduce me into music, they could keep the house quiet for maybe like a couple hours every day. And so they were like, wow, so this kind of worked. And it really, up until this point, reflecting back on it, it was one of maybe only a couple things that ever really made me happy. And fast forward to college, through high school, through trying, getting my bachelor's in biomedical engineering, changing to accounting, then to psychology, and then to economics finally. And then I was trying so many things and nothing really clicked. And then 4 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And that's when everything flipped on its head. And I had to ask myself, like, woof, like this is a mortality question. Like, what am I doing? How do I make my mom proud? How do I be happy with her to her final days? And why not try to do what I love for the rest of, at least for the rest of her life? And if that works, why not for the rest of mine? And I took a pay cut for sure for quite a while, but I was able to be with my mom whenever I wanted to be, and I was never stressed out about work. It was all the good kind of stress, like all the kind of stress that I would be thankful for. And I honestly, till when I made that decision, I did not live a single day of regret. I did not live one day that wasn't better than the previous. And there was a ton of growth that happened as far as like skill set, in terms of mindset and my general outlook on life. In a nutshell, that's where I am today, and that's how I got here.
Awesome story, T. So let's go back a bit. So when you said that your parents introduced you to music to kind of keep you a bit tame, what instruments were you playing?
It was a piano that they first put me on. I think my mom had grown up with a piano. I think one of the first things she really treated herself to after getting a job was to buy her own upright piano. And while she was pregnant, I think she played quite a bit every day. And what we know through some research is that may have had an effect as to why it has resonated so deeply with me. And so so they brought me up with classical piano up until.
So after what exactly were you doing with the company originally when you decided to quit? Like, what were you doing? Where were you going with it?
Oh, I see. So with South Street, I was essentially just doing the work of an analyst, right? So I was helping put together data for different asset classes that we wanted to work with at the broker dealer, right? Whether it was mortgages, different kinds of loans, essentially, that we wanted to securitize.
So you went from doing that, and then you said, fuck this. And you start. Now, I remember when we talked, I said, do you have the ability to work part-time? And you said, yeah. I said, well, why don't you work part-time so you have an income and then do this on the side? And you just said, no.
Looking back, I mean, I guess you could like it's reasonable to say that was like probably an irrational decision, but taking into consideration my mental state, I don't think that would have been good, right? Because like I think I was, for whatever reason, I just was at the edge, and I don't know what could have fixed it. Aside from taking an SSRI, I mean, I thought about that too, and I didn't want to do that. Because I just, up until that point, I've been medicated so much. I've tried so many different kinds of medication. I've been in therapy in some form for a long time, and I didn't feel in control with that current plan. So yeah, I decided to take the risk. I decided to take a leap.
What about the job was you so upset about? I mean, were
There
you
was, there
earning
was
good money? I guess you were. Did you have an
no,
important
at the end of the
place?
day, it's like it was a privilege to be there, and it really was an honor. Um, and it felt like it was handed to me. You know, it felt like, I was just raking in the favors.
Mm.
And that part inspired some guilt. And then I didn't feel it in my loins, like that's not like, and
Yeah.
I've tried to reconcile this, right? Because my dad did what he had to do. And when I look at him now, it's like I think he actually really likes it. I really think he really enjoys the work, especially where he is now. And that's not to say that, through his career he didn't enjoy certain things, but I think he got a little lucky as far as that goes. Might it not have been his first choice? Sure. I think his first choice would have either been, as he says, like computer programming or even like marine biology or something like that. Um, but I mean, still very technical fields, and I think like the abilities that he has now and the work that he does satisfies that to a certain extent. And to a certain extent, I gravitate towards that too, but there just wasn't enough of the creativity in it for me. And I think that's a curse that a lot of creatives have, that it's hard for many people to understand, is that if they don't do it, they're really, really upset. If they're
Mm.
not creating, there's nothing else. I mean, because like think about it, it's like we don't do this thing because it makes good money. We do this thing because we're compelled. It's almost like if it's almost like breathing, right? And
It's
so I was able,
self-expression. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so in that case, it's like I found that not only in the music, but I find that in the creativity of actually building something, like building a business. And the art form of teaching, right, is also a very creative process. And I think once I was able to sink my teeth in for just a moment, I realized like this is it. This is what I'm gonna do.
So what is it exactly now that you're doing? I know how it started. Actually, walk us through that. Walk us through the development of where it started to where you are now.
Well, where it started was it started with a whole lot of stupid, right? I think that's what happened, right? Like I didn't really know what to do. It was like, oh, I'm gonna get business cards. I'm gonna print out these business cards, and I'm gonna have a business and just give them to everybody, right? One, I'm not great at the whole networking thing. That hasn't been like a natural thing. So that was kind of out, and spent some time actually depressed because I was like, I just turned down good money and I don't know what to do, and I just quit. Um, so I started getting my mental health in order, started working out, doing that kind of thing. But once I starting to take risks, I started seeing these programs. I started browsing the internet, just watching YouTube videos on how to make money online and reading blogs and all this. And I'm like, I started to see the patterns of creating a business, but online, where I didn't necessarily have to do a ton of cold calls. I didn't have to do, networking events. I could reach people by shooting a video, paying some money every day, and just having 1,000 people see it every day. And I realized that that's such a powerful thing. It's at the time I was like, that's just an underpriced notion that I could pay $1 a day and get someone to watch a video 1,000 times, like get a thousand like people to watch that video for at least, even if I did it badly, 5 seconds. And so then it became, okay, so what can I do to make them watch 10 seconds, to watch them 15 seconds? Like, how do I write so that I can influence people? Because if you can't talk to people, then you got to write to them somehow. You got to, maybe you could do video, and so I was just kind of huddled in my cave, right? And that's kind of like what I like to do. And I like to come out for sun every once in a while. And so that's like, this process allowed me to do that, right? So like, I could spend all this time writing and thinking and strategizing, and then maybe spend 10 hours or so shooting video and performing, essentially. And it's not like this one-on-one interaction that we're having now. It's more like performance. And even this medium is different. It's different than what we do when we talk by the fire, when we talk on the phone, when we have our interactions. It's still a performance, and I love that, right? And as an introvert, that appeals immensely to me. And that's something that I found very interesting too, was when I found out that someone like Johnny Carson, a lot of these talk show hosts, a lot of these comedians have introverted lives. And there's this wall that they're allowed to sit behind, right? We don't see it, but there's this wall that they control between them and their audience, even if it's on late night TV. And that wall comes in forms like scripts, comes in form of lighting, producers, makeup. And that's really what I found to be so interesting and so captivating about creating a business online. And I got scammed several times trying to find the right people to work with. Because even just a few years ago, the online space was a totally different place. Like, that's just how fast it changes. Now, if you find an agency through Facebook ads, or you find somebody through Facebook ads, it's probably legit, because Facebook is very serious about maintaining their integrity for the user experience. But even just a few years ago, there were people like the ads were just so much cheaper, that the algorithm was so much less advanced, that you could spend maybe like a few $100s on ads and use a fake name, a fake account, and make a few $1,000s before Facebook found out anything. And now it's become exceptionally more difficult to do that. So I kind of went through that process, and then I found the right people to work with. I found the right people to learn from. Spent thousands of dollars, and hundreds of hours developing my skills in terms of how to market myself, and how to brand myself, and how to sell online. And now it's my livelihood. And now I found my fun, and I found a way to make money doing it.
So T, what is the actual business? So you said that you spent time scouring the internet and finding the patterns. So you saw how other successful people did it. So
Right.
then I guess you started to look, what are my natural skills and what can I provide? So how did you come to the conclusion? Because what even is your business? I mean, of course we know it, but for the guests on the show, what is your
Oh, that's right.
what
Yeah.
is your
So
business?
I'm a vocal coach.
Right.
And I teach people how to sing. And on the outside, it seems like, okay, it's very simple. And I'm very thankful that it is quite a simple model, because I don't want to have to deal with any more like complexity than that. There's already enough. Um, but but so before, right, and still now, right, a number of my clients, a number of my students are referrals. They're word of mouth. And that's great. It's a powerful way, right, to develop your reputation. Do a good job and get people to refer you. And on the other side is it's very difficult to track, right? There are really no numbers associated with that. So on the online side of things, how do I get people to trust me? How do I gain a reputation through that? So how I look at it is, okay, I paid Facebook a little bit of money, right, to rent out some of their real estate, right, on their news feed, and using very clear language, I can grab the attention of strangers, give them some value, show them what I can provide them, and then they'll give me their email address. And once I get their email addresses, I can start a dialogue. And the nice thing about Facebook is you can actually start the dialogue through that advertisement, right? Which, aside from the indication that is a sponsored post, it looks very much like a regular social post. They can comment, you can reply, and begin the dialogue there. And so the nice thing is that once people start paying me upwards of, let's say, $9.97, right, $1,000 for a year subscription, they feel like they've seen me for hours, right? So they're either sick of me, right, or once I get them on the phone, they're like, I feel like I know you. I feel like I've talked to you for hours already, when I haven't met them for a second in my life. And that's not to say I still don't have to sell them on the phone, but it's a much better place to be than um, than not having that at all. And for me personally, it's a much better place to be than stumbling over my words at a networking event, or picking up the phone and just going through the yellow pages, right? So that's what I discovered, and that's what I'm polishing every day. And I don't know, I find that process invigorating. I find it very exciting, especially because it's just going to become more advanced, and because the landscape changes so much. It has that kind of creative like element to it that you just kind of have to calibrate and adjust all the time. So that's on that side. But then on the vocal side, I have to give shout outs and props to you, Brooker, and to you, Mike, because your approach to the body and to movement has been just so inspirational to me over the years, that I've been able to break down singing to those base level components, much in the way that you look at somebody when they're running. And it's helped give me these kind of landmarks and milestones to look for when I coach my students, and when I'm able to appraise singers, and taking that perspective along with my mentor, right, my singing teachers, I've been able to collate the technique in like a system that has just never been laid out like that before. And I've essentially given it away for free. It's like a very, 1,000-foot view on this blueprint. And I put it together into a 30-page PDF. And as long as people are willing to give me their email address, I just give it to them straight out. I tell them essentially everything that I know in such a way that doesn't overwhelm them. I mean, of course, it's not everything. It's not the nitty gritty, but it lets them know what they're in for. And so when they start speaking to me, when they call me, they understand that it's this rigorous kind of academic process, that there are delineated steps, but you gotta you gotta look, you gotta hear, and you gotta feel the entire time of the way. So I hope that answers your question.
For sure. And so how does the model look like? So you're trying to get email subscriptions for your free product, and then do you have a tiered system? I mean, have you got multiple different priced products that you're selling, with you
Sure.
as the most expensive one, or what does that kind of look like? What's the journey that the client goes through?
So the basic journey is they see an ad, they get a lead magnet. So that's one of the funnels, right? So they get a lead magnet, which is that PDF that I was talking to you about. And
How long is that PDF?
like 30 pages. 30 very colorful and picture heavy pages that just kind of let them know what it's going to be like to work with your voice with me. And there's an upsell, I think, at the end of that leads them to a $49 product, or even on the back end. So after they give me their email address, there's a brief video, maybe about like a 5-minute video, where I talk to them about, okay, if you want to fast track your results and you want examples and you want me to essentially hold your hand through this and explain to you in detail about this, you can buy this video course for $49. And that is essentially what I use to mitigate my ad costs. And on the back end, right, you have the email nurture. So as you gain the leads, you continue to have that conversation with them through email.
Is that a daily thing? Are you writing daily emails?
Ideally, like, that's a struggle with me too. It's like and it's kind of different with every market that I've worked with. Some are okay with hearing from you every day. Some are okay hearing from you once a week, maybe once a month. Like, it just depends. And it's really who the kind of audience you want to cultivate. So and chances are the people that you're going to work with are probably more like you than those who aren't, right? So if you're the kind of person that likes reading emails, likes going through your inbox and hearing from somebody that you follow like every day, then I guess that's probably what you should do too, right? And that's the kind of person that you want to work with. But then there are people like, who really like the inbox zero kind of thing, who don't like to be sold to, who are very skeptical of that. They don't want to hear from you that much, right? So don't send stuff to me unless it's really important, right? Unless like there's a deal, unless there's some breaking new scientific research, then let me know about it in my field.
Tim Ferriss had something like that. It was called 5 Bullet Friday. Let me know once a week the 5 different cool fucking things that I learned this week, and that's it. But then there's other, like, I have a newsletter and I haven't released it in now maybe 2 years since we started the podcast. I haven't released a newsletter essentially. And I mean, doing it once a week, people loved it.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, I mean, I hate when people send me multiple emails, but to me, it's fucking obnoxious. I don't know anyone that likes getting an email from someone every single day, but I mean, that's me. And look at all my clients. None of my clients want, but I guess they're a lot like me. So it makes sense what you said.
Yeah, there's something for everybody. And right, the people who don't resonate with your message, who like don't like hearing from you that often, they're just going to unsubscribe. Right? And then you'll just be stuck with the people who are exactly where you want them. So that's on the back end. And the nice thing is once you get their emails, you can also retarget them, right? So you can show people who are already expressing interest different sets of advertisements. My business mentor goes to even a step further. Whenever we have like a workshop coming up or a class, he'll even pay Facebook to remind us that something like that's happening through advertisements. And when I asked him why, he says, well, like Facebook, you got to pay to play. Instagram's like that now. There's only 2 places right now online where you can gather and amass a huge following for free. And that's LinkedIn and TikTok. They have extraordinary organic reach. And so what? You're going to get a lot of shit like because of that, right? But at the same time, if you can blend some of that shit, right, which is going to be the trends, right? It's going to be what the kids are doing nowadays. But if you can integrate that into your business model, then you can very easily. I mean, Mike, you had a post that had thousands, right? Tens of thousands of views for
What,
no reason.
On what, on TikTok?
On TikTok.
Yeah, one of my pro guys tried yelling at me to get on TikTok years ago, like 2 years ago. He's like, dude, there's no gym people on it. Get on this. I was like, TikTok is fucking stupid. I guarantee I can get a fucking viral video in my first fucking post, no fucking problem, and it won't give me anything. So I signed up for TikTok. I got a viral video. I think it had like 150,000 fucking views or likes or whatever the fuck. I got 100 followers. I was like, yo, this is stupid as fuck. This is really fucking dumb. And they're like, do another one. You can't do it again. You can't do it again. And my kids were like fucking on me. Like, you can't do it. I said, yes, I can. All I have to do is put a shirtless picture in slow motion with cool music and a good looking person. So I put 2 videos of Kevin Love doing like a fucking med ball throw or like some kind of twirl of him out. Like I think he did like a 360-degree spin jump outside. And that one got 100,000 views. Like, this is stupid. This is really fucking stupid. And you look at my TikTok, I have 250,000 views and like 30 fucking followers. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is annoying.
One of the things that always blows my mind talking to the guys on the online space is just the sheer volume of people that are online. It's just incredible. Like, because within our own networks, like what you said, T, we only really know people like us, but there is so much variety. And like, if you're really specific in what you're offering, you'll find the amount of people that you need to make it worth it. Right. I mean, there's not a single thing you can imagine that someone's not selling as a product.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like what Tim Ferriss again says, all you need is 1,000 loyal followers. That's it. You know, there's what 7-8 billion people in this world now. I don't even fucking know. And everyone's on, like, what, 1 billion people on Instagram alone. Just Instagram. God knows how many TikTok has. God knows how many Facebook has. Like, you can find 1,000 people that are just as I mean, there's 1,000 people in the world that want to get punched in the fucking face repeatedly while having sex. You know, so I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 people that you want to sing to. Like, it's easy to get these 1,000 people, especially now. You can make a living doing whatever it is you want to fucking do. Whatever you want to do.
I saw, you know, that crazy guy, Juju Mufu? Right? This crazy guy, I just saw this, his new gym that he's just built.
In his house?
Yeah, it's like a mega gym. I mean, it's a home gym, but it's still it's like it could be a commercial gym. How big it is, and it's amazing. And I mean, he's talking about is how he funded it all through his own online business and just making viral videos and selling programs and selling a few bits of product. And you think, fucking great. I mean, what would he ever fit in the traditional model before this? I mean, what a waste of talent. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's but I mean, this also brings up like a certain conversation about mindset too. Is like, how do you sustain that level of energy? How like you have to be so yourself, right? Like you have to be so consistent. I mean, obviously not with just the posting and the creation. Sure, you have to have the work ethic, but for me, I love looking at certain about things about personality because I've always felt like self-conscious about it. When it comes to branding, you have to be so consistent or people are just going to drop off because of it, right? Like, I mean, just with I mean, cancel culture, for example, is like the extreme of that. But I would say even on a more primitive level, it's our deceit detection and our ability to keep away from being cheated, right? Is if somebody's inconsistent with their message, if somebody's inconsistent with their personality, they're probably lying to you about something, right? And I think marketing is that same way, but it's even harder now because you're not expected to do a 30-second commercial that's going to play over and over and over again on TV. Right now, you're expected to do content every day. You're expected to be a performer every day. So while it is certainly true, you can do anything you want to, there's this expectation that you got to perform for it now. And so it's a different thing. Millennials had a hard time with it because we were like, oh my God, look at the shiny new thing. It's so cool. Like, what are we going to do with it? And so that's where the whole thing about like only posting your most glorious days. That's why everybody looks great. But we give them a lot of shit. But these Gen Z people, I think they're starting to understand that that's not what online life is supposed to be. Online life is supposed to be just as much a reflection of real life as we can. Otherwise, there's going to be this host of shit that comes with it, right? It's going to be chasing the likes. It's going to be and it's going to be getting this kind of gratification from this fiction that I weave together online. The Zoomers are starting to see like that's not what we want. We want authenticity, but we don't know how to get it because the technology is not exactly there yet. Like we don't have the perfect algorithm that catches people who are disingenuous. It's better, right? And so we have these kind of issues with censorship now, and we have um, these complex little methods to make sure that people are getting the right kind of engagement. Um, because we know it's documented, like it's documented that social media, if you don't know what you're doing and if you don't have the hygiene for it, it will get you depressed. It's very easy to become depressed if you're chasing that kind of dopamine high. And I think that's another thing that I want to get into is that kind of social hygiene is being able to clean your mind of those kind of nihilistic devices that happen from I didn't get my usual likes today, so I'm I'm really upset about that. I don't have worth as a person, right? And it's very easy to equate that, right? It's very easy, like, hey, I put my heart and soul into this and nobody liked it. When it's that easy to post today, right? So like,
So when you have something like that, with your ads. Like, I mean, I know when we put out content, we started putting out content every single day.
Yeah.
Right. And every single day we're posting something, or we're on whatever, like on the Freak Strength page.
Sure.
And there are ads, or not ads. We don't put any ads behind anything. We just hope that something catches and, hey, how you doing? Which is really stupid. If we're going to do all this effort, we might as well start paying for ads so we can get some reach. But when we put out really good content, like there are some videos where I'm like, yo, this is phenomenal. Or like Ryan will put out an instruction. He put out an instructional video on like the glutes and how to recruit them and how to do this. And he put a ton of effort into it. No one gives a fuck. Meantime, you put together some quick little boop, 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 and like whatever, and people fucking love it. Like they don't, it's frustrating. It's like, all right, well, all I need to do is just put together a video that catches your attention and you like it, and it doesn't teach you anything.
Yeah.
I hear you. Dude, that shit's fucking frustrating. So when you're doing your ads, the targeting, right? So let me rewind. You told me that the $49.95 product pays for itself. Essentially, it costs you $50 to get a email sign up.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you're paying $50 for someone to log in, but it pays for itself, but you did this whole thing.
Well, okay. So the math is not direct like that, right? So it's like I can pay. So essentially my figures right now, I'm getting anywhere from $3 to $5 a lead, right? So it costs me about that much money to get an email address. And then every so often we'll get a sale, right? And that'll offset it. And it's not a direct correlation. It's not like I could go, it's not like every 100 email addresses I get a sale, right? It's like sometimes I'll get 5 sales in a day, and then I'll go drive for a little while. But back to your point about the whole content thing, right? I heard something very wise from Gary Vee, and he said that's why in this day and age, quantity is actually better than quality. Because what you deem as shit and what you deem as genius is irrelevant, right? Because it's all about your audience. It's all about your market. You should be living for them if you want to make the dough, if you want to make the money, right? Because that's really what it's about. It's what is in it for me.
I mean, he also had a great line. What was it? Document, don't create, in terms of, how to avoid, procrastinating or getting, driving yourself bonkers on what to be posting online, and just document your whole process. Or even if you are starting out in your mum's basement, start documenting there. Stop trying to pretend that you're already an expert, because people want to see you climb up and feel the connection with you, et cetera, et cetera. So what is the $49 product, T? What is that?
It's like a mini course.
Okay.
Right. So it's essentially everything that I have written for them in the blueprint, but with examples, where it's showing them, what the technique is and how somebody can actually execute it. There's also a bunch of bonuses as well, right? So
how long is that?
It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours of video content. And a bunch of bonuses. So I've included a songbook too, which has a bunch of copyright-free song lyrics. So like The House of the Rising Sun, for example, a bunch like some standards, old American classics. And I have the technique essentially written out on all of the lyrics, kind of just mapped it out for them so they know sequentially, okay, take a breath here, take an artistic break here, do this in certain places of the lyrics when time comes. I put an MP3 there of a vocal warm-up. I had Ryan shoot some videos to help like recruit the core area and to help people isolate their diaphragmatic breathing. And these are all bonuses, right? So that include, and so essentially for free, right? So I heard my mentor Ryan Levesque for the marketing standpoint said to me, when you price something, right? Especially I think he was referring to especially when it's online and it's not face to face and you don't have that kind of one-on-one rapport that from, let's say, word of mouth or referrals or that, is your pricing should make you a little sick. That you're releasing a product and you do not feel good because I think I'm charging too little for this, then that's when you know you probably hit the right spot. So I put so much work into developing this $49 product. It's insane. Like the amount I put of effort into the scripting, the camera equipment, right? The audio, all the graphic design I had to hire out, the exercises I had to put together.
How many hours and dollars did you spend putting this together?
You know what? I didn't even keep track, but 100 hours. 100 hours for a $49 product. With no guarantee that it was going to pay off, right? But I did have more confidence in that. But as long as you have a good product, like I can use it again. I can use it in conjunction with another product. That's okay. Like I have that. But the difficulty is actually getting a return on the ad spend you put into it. And so that's a headache in of its own. It's like if you don't write the copy correctly, if your ad image is off, you know, if you're not targeting the right people, right? Then there's, while Facebook ads are cheap, it's kind of like jet fuel. Like you could spend a lot of money and be like, oh shit, I didn't get anything from this. And I don't know. Especially if you didn't track anything. Like if you didn't, if you're not up with your essentially your data accounting, then it could be kind of a waste. You could spend like $200 in a day and get 2 leads and be not any more knowledgeable, right? So it's essentially like rocket fuel for your business. If you have the engine to deal with it, it could make you a lot of money. It could give you a good cash injection very quickly. But if you don't know what it is, you're just probably just going to waste money.
So was that $49 product, is it worth it now where you're sitting right now? Has it been, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. That investment.
Oh.
We just lost him. His computer just died. Hold on. Sorry about that little glitch. So we're going on how much your $49 product now is generating for you, or what it was doing. Was it worth it?
Yeah, completely worth it. I mean, it's not the only thing that I sell, right? So I have a group coaching program as well. And well, it's more in the form of a boot camp, right? So it's a 3-day event where essentially the idea is that you get 3 months of work done in 3 days. And essentially it's
Drinking through a fire hose.
Yeah, essentially. So it's 18 hours, right, in total. And we just essentially just go through the technique, and it's essentially taking everything from that $49 offer, which they may or may not have had at this point. So I think I should make that clear, is that this is also being sold to cold audiences too, right? It's not just the people who bought the $49 offer. The
Sure.
people who bought are probably more likely, or well, are reported actually to be more likely to buy. But this offer is still going out to people on my email list. It's still going to cold traffic as well, because there are some people who are just waiting to spend more money so that they can get results faster.
How many people get the how much is this product?
Which one?
The
The boot camp.
the boot camp.
Right now it's $297, and yeah, it's $300 essentially.
So your products are, you got the free to lead in for the email.
Yeah.
Then you have the $49 product. Then
Yep.
you have the $300 product.
Yes.
And how many people go for the $300 product right away? Is it
right away?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is it like an equal amount of people that buy the 49 versus the 300?
More.
Get
More.
the fuck out of here.
Crazy. And T, do you even do that 3-day boot camp yourself, or do you have other people doing that?
No, I do it myself. I mean, I have an assistant, right, who does like to make sure that the tech is working okay, that all the questions are being answered, that like the people are essentially behaving themselves. But yeah, I mean, it's like, well,
I can't believe that more people will spend $300 than will spend $50.
well, the conversion rate is higher, right? Because I was surprised too, but it just comes down to they want to work with a real person more.
Sure, they want the real thing. They don't want to sit there reading a book on theory. I
So,
mean,
like,
there's a book on everything now.
Yeah, essentially, right? So it's so much more that I'm thinking of replacing my video course with an in-person, like just like a live Zoom workshop or something like that.
I mean, I don't know if I would do that. I mean, it's at this point, it's just free money.
It's true, but I'm curious as to, because right now, like I'm either just breaking even, or I'm still paying for my leads. If there's a chance that I can profit off of the front end, I might want to consider it too. It could also be the case that my marketing's not on point. I just don't pay attention too much to that yet, because it's just the back end offer is creating so much more money for me. So I also have one more offer after that, which is $997 for the year, and that's for a mastermind group that meets once a week, where for a full year, where they can get access not only to me but to other experts in the field. So they'll be speaking to producers, they'll be talking to songwriters, and they'll get a more holistic experience. Of course, they'll get my tutelage too, as far as the vocal coaching goes. But it's community oriented, and the skill sets that they learn are a little more diverse.
How many people were in the group? How many people were in there at once in the group boot camp?
So in the boot camp, I've been able to get anywhere from 15 to about 25 people at once.
Fantastic.
Right? The mastermind group is right now about 5 strong, right? So it's not like, my personal battle right now is that upsell, because it's like, it's okay, it's only like $1,000, right? That I'm trying to tell myself, but it's the most expensive thing I've ever had to sell in my life, right? So it's
Sure.
like, it's still, I'm still not great at the whole sales process part of that yet. And but once they get to that point, it's like I've talked to them, I've gotten them results, so it's that much easier to sell them.
But you're not going to want that many people in your mastermind group, right? Because then it gets much harder to deal with. Because also you're also earning much more money with your group. I mean, if you're getting 15 to 25 guys,
I just did the numbers.
day,
That's $300 plus per hour
yeah.
in the group.
Right.
versus the mastermind, which is a big ticket item. But like, so you're doing 52 sessions for $1,000. I think that's nuts.
Yeah.
I think that's way too cheap.
Well,
And
I mean,
also the chance for disappointment, because you have to over deliver on all of these things, right?
sure.
So you doing the boot camp, they're probably like, hey, I'm done. I don't even want to do any more by the end. If there's so much information, whereas 1,000 for the year, they're always what's next. And the sort of your stake is higher in it, or at least that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
With these certifications, guys are doing are doing 1,000 for a weekend, let alone a year.
Well, I mean, this is also, my market's not the wealthiest market either.
Sure.
So I'm also trying to be wary of that. I haven't been able to target. Well, I guess I haven't tried. Right. I have the $1,000 product. Right. I'm starting to think, okay, what would a $10,000 product look like? Right.
Uh-huh.
It's hard. It's really hard for my niche. So
yeah, but why even bother with an upsell from the 300? Why not make the 300 your bread and butter? And then if you want individual coaching for, $200 a session or $100 a session or whatever you want to charge, I think maybe from there it's private sessions. And what sucks about that is the dilemma that I currently have is there's only one of me. So, and people are paying for me. So unless I can pay people to do multiple things for me during a one-on-one, like if I stagger them every 20 minutes and like the first 20 minutes, someone else is overseeing the warm-up, and then the second 20 minutes, someone else is overseeing this aspect, and I oversee this and that and whatever, right? That's the only way it would be potentially scalable. So, but I mean, who's too good to make $200 an hour? So, I mean, you could also pull it from, $200 an hour is $450,000 a year plus whatever you're running for your boot camps, which is $300+ an hour. So that ain't a bad way to live.
I always heard that you should really have a complete offer. So you have very low to very high ticket, because people will always regress to the mean. So if the mean is the bread and butter, I think you should think about a $10,000 product, because maybe you get one, and that's going to be a very interesting person, whoever that is. And at least it's on offer. You're not trying to get everybody there. But I remember getting told that. I was like, I can't imagine how I could offer something that worth that much. But the incentive was always, you got to put it there, because there might just be one person willing to do it.
Sure.
And then it opens the doors to so many more possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, also too, though, you could say your big ticket item, like you could make it $1,000, but just make it like 5 voice lessons. You know what I mean? Like you could do it that way, or whatever it is, because I mean, with me, I look at my big ticket item. Like what is my big ticket item? Now, I'm not selling anything online, right? It's a completely different business, but I mean, my big ticket item is still my one-on-one technically, or it's to pay me to come out and travel and train you wherever the hell you are. That's a big ticket item. That's, whatever, $1,000, $2,000 a day, whatever the fuck it is.
Well, yeah. So I think my obstacle is, right, how do I make that hour go as far as I can, right? Because it's about offering like a ton of value as well. I mean, because Mike, I know the way you've conducted yourself is when people get one-on-one training from you, there's just so much that you offer, right? There's so many aspects that just exceed the physical training of it as well. And so for me, it's like when I charge $200, like I don't know, an hour for one-on-ones, where is that value going to come from? And so I have to bring in other people, right? So like I don't have the recording down. I don't have, I'm not the best at audio engineering and writing songs, but you've got a ton of you have the acupuncture, you have the pain relief, You have like you monitor their sleep. Like you look at all these different kind of trends for your athletes.
So it's supply and demand. That's
Okay.
where my rate comes from. Okay.
Mhm.
My rate doesn't come from my skill acquisition. It comes from supply and demand. If I was not busy, my rates would be lower. But my rates keep going up because there's a more of a demand for me. So I need to make my rates
Mhm.
not astronomical, obviously, but like they need to be higher to weed out. So I can, number one, I can feed my other trainers because there's only so many people that are going to want to pay $150, $200 a session with me
Right.
for an hour, whatever it is. I don't even know my rates. And the other thing too is, I mean, I have to price myself out because if I don't, I can't train Kevin Love. I have to be able to make the time to train Kevin Love or, you know, the McCourty brothers or what, you know, my NFL crew, like, because my business depends on that. So I have to be expensive, and I'm only expensive because people want me there. They want to train with me. So the supply is there, the demand is there. So I just need to raise the prices. So your time is only, it's just like fucking real estate. The house isn't worth what you think. It's worth what someone's willing to pay. That's it. So it doesn't matter what services you offer. If someone's willing to pay you for your time and you're booked up, raise your rates.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that just contributes to the mindset aspect of it, right? Because I think I've talked to you about this before, right? The kind of imposter syndrome and how it can affect that kind of thinking as well, especially with pricing. Because I still look at the more traditional means of the more traditional business models of being able to of just like teaching one-on-one hourly in person. And even in New York City, vocal teachers are capped at about $200 an hour, and that's for the best. That's like the best of the best. And so I have to. I think I have to think of that as well. But I don't know. I don't know what the world expects online.
Yeah, whatever. But all I'm saying is your big ticket item doesn't have to be something extravagant. It could just be the same thing in multiple sessions. Like our big ticket item for group training is something like, I think when we did packages, I don't even do packages anymore, but our big ticket item for group training used to be like a $1,500 package.
mhm.
That was it. You know, and then I had people that wanted to give me $3,000 to get double those sessions just so it was like, okay, hey, now I don't have to focus on this anymore. You could just come in and train and train and train.
I see.
Right. So I don't think it has to be the moon, the stars, and the sky. It could just be, hey, you're buying a lot of sessions. I think that's where maybe some people are getting a little lost with stuff because you're a vocal coach. You're not a producer. You're a vocal coach. So I don't know. But you could also stream into doing other things, which will scale what you're doing as well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the point. It depends what you want to be, T. If you want to be a business owner, then you need to separate your time from the equation of it all. If you want to just be a vocal coach and then maximize, so you want to work 5-6 hours a day at this price point, then you're cushty there, you know. But I think that's where where people struggle with is because they want to still coach, but then that's limited to time. But you can only scale so far.
Right.
Whereas online, that's the whole hope, isn't it? It's that you can just scale infinitely, and your time is separated from it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to make excuses, but I think when they come in to see you, Mike, for a consultation, the gym is impressive. Your consultation is impressive. The amount of time and the knowledge that you can give them initially is impressive. Your reputation as well. That has to translate online somehow, right? So like, and if it's and I don't have the credentials that you have in my space. And I feel like people are more attention deficit online as well, and they won't respond to traditional offers that don't pop out. Right? So like just 10 vocal lessons may not appeal as much as you get X, Y, and Z, and you get free instrumentals, you get free production if you buy these 10 vocal lessons, for example.
That makes sense. But see, also too, it's almost as if you're looking at your big ticket item as your cold call. And I don't think it's a cold call. I think no one's going to drop $1,000 or $2,000 unless they've experienced some of your other stuff first.
True. That's why it's the upsell after the boot camp.
Exactly. So, hey guys, if you want more stuff, why not get more one-on-ones with me? Now, my schedule is very, very packed. So this is what the maybe, who knows? I'm just offering suggestions. It could be.
So once they've signed up for the high ticket, I can upsell them even further, saying, hey, like if you're not satisfied with the speed, the progress you're having now, why don't you double up or something like that?
Yeah, whatever. But again, the whole point of being online is scalability. Now, your scalability does come from your boot camps. Like that's very, very scalable. Like our group training is our bread and butter.
Yeah.
We crush group training. It's individualized group training where everyone gets their own program. They just do it in a group setting, so it's financially feasible for everyone. I make more money from that than I do from any of my professional athletes combined.
Sure.
Right? That's where our bread and butter is. But like you said, my resume is impressive. My gym is impressive. You walk in and there's, 20 jerseys hanging up and they're not slaps. You know what I mean? Like, so the pros feed my groups essentially.
Right.
But the other thing you mentioned, T, about the imposter syndrome, I think I heard, what was the name of the guy, Mike? The English guy that lives in Australia, the PT, James Smith.
Yeah, James Smith, the guy with the pedo mustache.
Yeah, this guy, and he calls everyone a cunt. This guy, yeah. But
really?
he's doing fantastic for him. It's just about polarizing people. He had a great video on it. Actually, Mike, you should show T that. That's a good one. And I heard him saying something about imposter syndrome. You're always going to experience it because as you further climb up the scale, it's just you're being in a new environment all the time. It's just something you got to deal with. And I mean, the truth is, T, is we all suffer from the same thing, right? We don't know what we don't know. So you don't know what's going to work. How could you possibly know right now? It's just about taking some swings and having a look. But fantastic that you're already working because, I mean, what was it? Maybe it was 4 years ago now that we were together. And that was when you were just starting out. And I remember being in the car. Do you remember that when you had a potential client on the call? Do you remember when we were going into the city?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Arthur Avenue. It was when we were going to Arthur Avenue. Yeah. Terrence had to sit in the fucking car. I was thinking about that.
Yeah. And from that point, which I remember so vividly, and how difficult that whole situation was, because I mean, that's cold calling is so hard, to seeing you where you are now. I mean, you've done tremendous, T. You've done absolutely tremendous. So you're definitely doing something right, mate. More things are going right than wrong, that's for sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah, feels good. I can't say that it does not.
So let me cap this off for you. There's a good chance that we're gonna get some. I mean, guys, Terrence went from nothing to making a decent living in a very niche market. Right? Like, so, I mean, there's going to be people hitting you up asking for advice. Where can they find you?
They can find me on my Instagram at SPA _athletics. They can visit one of two of my Facebook pages. They can search for Terence Ma. They can find my personal coaching on Facebook. They could also search for the same Spa Athletics on the Facebook business page as well. And if they want any to have a dialogue about either the marketing aspect, business development aspect, or even about singing, I don't know how many of your viewers actually like singing. They can actually just email me at terence.ma@thespa with 2 A's.com. And that's 1 R and all E's on the Terence.
Well, don't worry. We'll spell it out. We'll have it on the title.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. T, thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Thank you
Yes,
for having me. This was fun.
Yes.